Now, you'd think after 25 episodes of filming the Greek islands, we'd have seen everything. Well, you're wrong. Have a look behind me. That's the coast of Asia Minor. And that's what makes this archipelago of the Dodecanese Islands so different to the rest of Greece. It's that Asian, sultry, exotic influence in the food, the culture, and all the architecture here that just makes it so special. Now, I've been here before, but I'm excited to go again. Let's go! My travels around Greece as part of this odyssey have taken me from the heart of the nation, Athens, and throughout several of the major island regions. We've cruised around the coast of the Peloponnese and travelled among the Ionian Islands. Then we made our way across the northern Aegean before spending time exploring the hidden gems of the Western Cycladic. And man, was it beautiful. This series sees us steering Miazoui further to the east and into the Dodecanese. The name might have you thinking there's only 12 islands here, but in actual fact there's over 160 of them, with 26 being inhabited. The geographical location not only means that the Ottoman influence is strong, but the landscapes are much more arid, hot and drier than other parts of Greece. It gives it a character of its own, and in the weeks ahead, I'm really excited about showing you what makes it such a special part of the Mediterranean. Most visitors to the Dodecanese start their journey in Rhodes, or as I have, Kos. It's a jumping point to many of the northern islands of the region. Here we are, day one. 30 hours of travelling to get here last night, and I was exhausted. But you know what? I woke up this morning, blue sky, went for a run, had a swim, and I'm looking forward to the next 3 months of filming in the Dodecanese Islands. We're here in Kos and we're just about to go to Astypalia, and we haven't got a lot of time, so I'll see you soon. My plan was to weigh anchor after only a day's rest so that I could come back and spend more time here after exploring some of the other islands. First stop is Astypalia, which is a couple of hours cruising to the west. Upon arrival, I met with the Deputy Mayor, Maria. At 35 years of age, you'd think the urge to leave this relatively remote place and head to the city would see her doing what a lot of young Greeks do, and pack her bags. But it seems this island is unlike many others, because the locals don't want to leave. There are 1,300 people here, and it's been like that for decades. So no one's leaving. Why isn't anyone leaving? Why is nobody leaving Astypalia? What is it about Astypalia?
Because I think the energy and all the things that the island have keep you here.
What has the island got that gives you that energy? What is it the island has that gives you that energy?
We don't know.
You don't know?
All the island have the energy.
Astypalia is where the Cyclades meet the Dodecanese. It's the westernmost island of the group and is shaped like a butterfly, with one wing being Mesanissi, or inner island, and the other called Exonissi, the outer island. Joining the two is a narrow strip of land. The capital and main port is called Chora, which is the same name as the major settlement of most Greek islands. It basically means town. The other thing you'll come across in Greece is that they also refer to the island capitals by the same name as the island itself. It can all get a bit confusing. Seems to be in the Greek islands always a long walk to get to the best spots. And there's a prize at the end of this. Definitely getting my exercise for the day. The walk to the top passed by architecture that's typical for the region, cube-shaped buildings with flat roofs, flanking narrow, crisscrossing lanes. Towns were designed this way to confuse pirates. Today, they serve to puzzle tourists. Wow. The whitewashed walls, windmills and gorgeous water down below form the postcard image of Greece. So from an aesthetic point of view, I can see why people don't move away. But there has to be more to this place. I've got to find out what this so-called energy is about. I could do with a bit of it right now. So for a castle, I can't see any cannon holes anywhere. I can't see a cannon. Now, it's probably because this island was in the middle of nowhere and it wasn't that important. So how did they protect themselves for 300 years? I really don't know, but I'm told when the Ottomans invaded, They got beehives with pre-angered bees and threw them at the Ottomans. Well, you know what happened then? Ottomans took over. They held the island for 400 years until the Greek War of Independence in 1821. And then the Turks took it back again until 1912, when the Italians came to the island, much like they did for most of the Dodecanese. But who cares about the history? Have a look at this. It's just this view is well worth the climb. It is absolutely magnificent. It's incredible to think that here once stood a fort that would have been quite significant in its scale. Yet this island is relatively small and not exactly of major strategic value. But then again, every inhabited landmass provided worth to someone, even if it was just a stepping stone, to get them closer to being able to invade another nearby island. Walking amongst the ruins, my mind wanders as I try to imagine what would have happened here across the centuries. Countless people would have walked through these remains. There would have been battles fought, times of celebration, and periods of mourning. Walls would have been battered by cannon fire, and additions made to fortifications when new powers took over. No doubt these ruins would have seen plenty of drama. Today they stand as a solemn reminder of a bygone era, when people lived in fear of invaders. Nowadays, it's about as peaceful an island as you'll come across. A great way to see the island is on a road trip. A short drive allows you to see the diversity of the landscapes, and it's easy to stop along the way to take photos, visit one of the small towns for coffee, or pretty beaches for a swim. Now, Astypalaia can be recognised in many, many ways. One, by the shape, because it's shaped like a butterfly, and we're coming up to a spot here called Steno, and it's basically the centre of the island where there's symmetry, and it's only 100 metres across. It's actually quite beautiful. The other way it can be recognised is by its name. Astypalaia, in one way, is old city in Greek, but the term I really like, that the reference of Astypalaia, is actually in popular Greek mythology. Astypalaia was sired by Phoenix and abducted by Poseidon. Poseidon then seduced her, and they sired the king of Kos and the king of Samos. I think I prefer that one. He was a real deviant, that Poseidon. Anyway, we're coming up to the Steno. You can see the water there, and 100 metres to my right, you see the water on the right as well. It's pretty impressive. It's a beautiful coastline, and there's beaches everywhere. What I love about these beaches, they're not that beautiful blonde sand, they're that grey-brown sand. But you've got trees all along, so you've got shade. You don't need an umbrella. The cafe at Steno back there's a little cafe. You know, it's actually quite natural. Well, it's nature, isn't it? The beauty of nature always puts man-made wonders to shame. Even here, where it's not exactly the most scenic part of Greece, the rugged coastline, rolling hills and secluded beaches are stunning. But if you want to see the classic beaches of the Dodecanese that people rave about, you have to head to one of the surrounding islets. Making my way back to port, we upped anchor to find one of those pretty stretches of sand. As much as I love the quaint little marinas we visit, it's the freedom to explore more widely, allowed by Mio Zoe, that I can't get enough of. Regardless, she's a boat and belongs at sea, not tied to a bollard, bobbing up and down. It takes a while to get underway. Once the anchor's up, ropes untied and the deck's cleared, we signal our departure before idling out of port. It's a team effort and somewhat of a dance. You've got crews scampering about making sure everything is okay, while the captain oversees it all from above. Once clear, we can open her up to cruising speed, and in no time at all, we're out to sea, heading to our next destination. In this instance, we were steaming across to Koutsoumithi, a tiny, uninhabited island. It's around 8 kilometres from Chora, so about a 15-minute transit. Along for the ride was Michalis, a local of Astypalaia, who uses his small boat to take tourists to hidden gems like this and nearby Kounopi. It's a gorgeous spot for a day trip, where you're lucky to find a handful of people swimming in the crystal clear water. Like anywhere in Greece, if you get some local knowledge, you're going to discover some special things that your average tourist won't find in a travel book or website. This island might be known to a few savvy travellers, but Michalis told me about a place called Red Rocks, which is a bit more of a secret and has a story that harks back to World War II. It was only a short cruise away, so naturally I had to find out more and see it for myself.
It's a fjord in Astypalja.
Yes, inside there, in the Second World War,
Yep.
The submarine hidden inside.
Yep.
Okay.
The Greek submarines.
The Greek submarine.
So, Captain, I'm a bit concerned about the fjord. You know where that is. Can we get in there okay?
We can get inside there. It's a little bit tight.
So how wide is it, Yanni, there at the fjord?
It's about 14 meters.
And we're 7 metres wide, aren't we?
7 something, yeah.
So there's not much on either side, is there?
No, it's not.
Okay, well, it's very tight. But he's a gun captain. He's a gun captain.
Are you sure that he's a good captain?
I know he's a good captain, mate. He's the best. I tell you, he's the best. Now tell me, well, are you concerned, are you?
If he cannot do it, I can do it, you know.
Okay, no, I trust him, it's okay. So how high is it there? How high are the rocks?
30 meters.
30 metres?
Yes.
Wow, fantastic.
If you want, you can jump.
We can jump. Well, I'm not going to jump. I'm going to jump in the water. And there's a cave there, isn't there?
Yes.
So we're going to go into that cave?
Yes.
Wow. And
We'll
nice
go
cave.
together, yes.
Done. Okay. Well, let's go.
I've visited similar caves before. They're surprisingly common across the islands. In Series 1, I was on Meganisi in the Ionian, and Captain Yanni knew a place where Greek submarines would hide from the enemy. It was pretty cool to squeeze Miazoi into the cavern, or at least try to.
We've just left Ithaca and we're headed to Lefkada over there. This is Meganisi, which in Greek is big island. It's not that big, but that's a big cave. That's called the Papanikolaou Cave. It's called the Papanikolaou Cave because a submarine, a Greek submarine, and man, we're getting close. A Greek submarine used to hide in here in World War II from the Italian Navy. They'd go out, shoot them and come back. We're going right in there right now, and man, it's a bit scary. Yanni, νομίζω είμαστε κοντά. It's okay, you better know where are you going? Yanni, what are you doing? This is too close, buddy. Yanni is scaring the shit out of me here.
2 years on and Yanni is up to his old tricks again. He just loves to see me squirm when he so casually puts Miazoi into these incredibly tight spaces.
Θα πούμε.
Θα μπούμε.
Θα πούμε. Mate, ballsy, ballsy. Oh, let's go. Have a look. How deep is it?
How deep?
Yeah.
60 meters.
60 metres, okay.
Yes.
So 60 metres, we can go in with 30 metres behind us, okay.
Yes.
All right. Yanni, you're a bit close, are you?
I think Captain Yanni just waved me off. And yes, he does realise it's my boat.
Yanni, I think that's enough, don't you? I think we've gone far enough in.
Bravo, Captain. Bravo.
So we can go down there, right?
Yes.
And there's
we'll go inside here.
Yep,
There is a big house, okay?
yep.
And the cave is on the left.
Fantastic.
And we will go out from the other side of the mountain.
Wow. Awesome.
I've worked with and known several captains of the sea over the years, and Yanni is the best of them. He's simply incredible, not only in his knowledge of what to do and see, but how to get the most out of Miazoi. He knows every inch of the Greek islands, but I reckon he has an even better understanding of the boat. Though I have to admit, he does sometimes stretch the relationship a little with the heart palpitations he gives me. But the end result is that my family and I, and you guys at home, get to see some really cool stuff. Michalis is a bit younger and fitter than me, so naturally he was a gentleman and let me take the Seabob for a spin while he swam over. It could have been a case of respecting his elder, or maybe I just pulled rank. I'll take any opportunity to play with my toys, and I did go for a run this morning, so I earned the easy option. Swimming through these narrow gaps between the cliffs and exploring hidden alcoves takes me back to when I was a boy. I had a habit of escaping my parents' watchful eyes, clambering over rocks, and doing things they never allow. It's all a bit of youthful fun and keeps me feeling young. Mind you, it also gets the heart racing, not only from the exercise, but the little bit of nervous fear that creeps in from doing things that take me out of my comfort zone. You have to do it on occasion in order to feel alive and test yourself. The escapade finished with a swim through a spectacular blue hole that emerged into the open sea. It was a great side trip, and I couldn't thank Michalis enough for showing us this little gem. No doubt, Captain Yanni will add this to his notebook.
Astypalia is probably one of the most remote islands in Greece. It borders the Cycladic group of islands and the Dodecanese group of islands. When you look at it, it looks like a Cycladic island, that white square prism shape. But it's actually governed by the Dodecanese. It has the culture of the Dodecanese because it's close to Asia Minor. From the wild saffron that grows here for their beautiful recipes, from the koulouria to the risottos, to the quietness of these open plains. It's not the sort of place you come to if you want to go to bars and nightclubs and five-star hotels. This is the sort of place where you come to and just read a book and enjoy the beach with very few people on it. And it's great value too. And I'm looking forward to that, that food with the saffron.
Saffron has long been the world's most expensive spice by weight. It actually grows wild on this island, and as a result, it's used in many of their recipes. This includes one of my favourite Greek snacks, the koulouria. They're a type of biscuit traditionally made at Easter, and everyone has their own recipe. My mother made the most delicious, soft, sweet ones, which I miss so much, God rest her soul. To show me how they make koulouria Astypalia style, I met with Angela, who works at a local baker known for their saffron creation.
You're an Aussie. What are you doing in Astypalia?
Well, as you know, as the story goes, I came here about 30 years ago, 1987. I was on holiday.
Yep.
I met my husband, and that was the end of it.
And you met your husband and you stayed?
Yeah, I stayed.
Do you like it here?
Yeah, of course I do. It's beautiful. Haven't you seen the island?
I have seen it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
There's an energy about this place,
There is, isn't there? Yeah, positive. Okay, so now we add the water.
Oh, we add the water to it, right,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a bit slightly warm.
Right, okay.
Okay, so the dilute.
And this will go into the
Into the mixture, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, it
Now
should
you
be
can
right.
really smell it, can't you?
It should be right now. Have a look.
Okay, all right, good. Let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at over here. Have a look at that, guys. Is that wonderful or what? So, what do we do now?
Okay, now we're going to mix the stuff together.
Okay,
All the
beauty.
ingredients.
Okay, and it goes in there, right?
Yep.
For the lactose intolerant amongst you, this probably isn't something you want to eat. There's plenty of goat's cheese, milk, slabs of butter, eggs, yeast, soda water, flour, nutmeg, cloves, salt, and of course saffron. If you want the recipe, you'll have to visit our website, but don't tell anyone. It's supposed to be a secret.
Nutmeg and cloves.
It's pretty easy. You're just adding stuff.
Just add stuff, yeah.
You don't need to be a genius, a chef, to do this, right? So the yeast goes in. That's a lot of yeast.
Well, we're going to have 8 kilos of flour.
8 kilos of flour.
Yep.
Wow. The saffron goes in.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that colour. Beautiful. Wow.
Okay.
Now, you wouldn't know, but in the background over there is Maria, who is Angela's mentor, right? Yeah, look, she's talking right now, telling her, giving her guidance to make sure it's 100% right. What's that salt?
Salt, yep.
That's a lot of salt.
We almost forgot the
But
salt.
it's the good salt. It's the healthy salt.
It seems like some of that island energy was starting to affect me. I was moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
I'll try doing the twirly job, because I used to make these with my mother, God rest her soul. She made great koulouria, you know. Not bad, huh? Not bad. Not bad for a
Very
builder.
good.
Pretty good, eh? It's supposed to look like this or this.
Okay, that's the finished product.
That's the
yes.
finished product at the end of the day. So, in the oven for an hour, what temperature?
I'm not sure. You'd have to ask the baker that.
Right, because the baker will, it's
Yeah.
180 degrees or something like that.
The
you know?
baker takes
Yeah.
care of that.
And then, because you guys make it and the baker does it.
Yeah, that's it. Like, this is where we finish.
Oh, okay.
We shape them and
you
that's
don't know,
it.
so you know the
No.
recipe, but you don't
Yeah.
know the whole thing.
No.
They hold it to themselves.
Yep.
Watching the shaping is almost therapeutic. They can easily churn out hundreds of these in a morning of baking.
So the normal koulouria is soft, but this breaks like a rusk. It's a rusk. Like that, see? and you get more value in the dipping. It doesn't fall away. Whereas the normal kuluri is soft and it could fall away. You could be left with a bit of kuluri in the Greek coffee. So,
and as we said with the local cheese, it's really nice.
the local cheese, yeah. So a bit of cheese,
a bit of kuluri.
Angela, thank you very much
You're
for this.
welcome. I hope you enjoy them.
Yeah, we're going to enjoy them for sure. I'm going to tell Kiriako to... Kiriako, I hope you're watching. And Helen, I hope you're watching. So you can make these as well. I might make them with you.
Once the camera was out of the way, the local ladies came in to get the process really humming along. The awesome thing here is they're not actually paid money to do this. It's a bartering system where they lend a hand and in turn get some baked goods. What a fantastic way to involve the community. The spirit of community and sharing is common on many of the islands, more so the ones that are less touristy. They rely on each other to bring to society the different things they require to get by. It's one of the key reasons that the people of Astypalea remain and don't have the need to move to a larger settlement for work or life's necessities. They have it all right here. If they need some seafood, they just pop down to the harbour of a morning and trade with one of the fishermen. If there's work to be done around the house, a local builder or painter will lend a hand. It's a collaborative approach to creating a sustainable community, and it looks like it's working perfectly. There's a saying I've heard that Astypalea is the island that tourism forgot. Coming here for the first time, I get a sense that might have been the case. However, today it's slowly changing. The handful of travellers that do come here spend the majority of their time in the beautiful capital or on the beaches scattered along the west wing of the island. But on the other side, in the northeast, things are very different. It's far more remote, particularly if you come to places like the protected Bay of Vathi. You feel like you're an explorer, discovering the unknown. It's a part of Astypalea with very little settlement, where just a handful of people have built homes and fishermen come to seek shelter. It's also where much of their agriculture occurs. It's the food bowl of Astypalea, and a stroll around the harbour gives you a sense of the unchanged, centuries-old farming way of life. The slowly declining rural element of Greece perhaps gets the least amount of coverage in the media, but may well have the greatest impact in the longer term. Yes, the economic downturn has hit the cities and the corporate sector, which in turn has hurt the average person. But in the country where the farmers live, it has also meant that things have gotten harder. Prices have dropped, there's increased importation of products, and people have abandoned the islands in search of work. So the goat herders and grain growers now have fewer mouths to feed in their community, and therefore end up in an unsustainable business. Once they go, who will grow the food to feed the island towns? It's a vicious cycle.
You know, there's about 1 billion goats in the world, and they produce probably 2% of the world's milk, which is sad. They should be producing more, because I love goat's milk. Doesn't have to be homogenised, because the cream actually doesn't suspend at the top like it does with cow's milk, and it's just so much healthier for you. These guys, they're special, because their cheese, the chloride that Astypalea is famous for, is absolutely awesome. Lads, ladettes, thank you very much. Really enjoyed your goat's milk and your cheese.
Much like wine comes in thousands of variants, in Greece, so too does goat's cheese. Every island has its own unique microclimate and geography, which in turn influences what they grow and the recipes they have for making their cheese. Here in Astypalea, I discovered chloride, and as expected, it was unlike any goat's cheese I'd ever had before. While on the quiet northern side of the island, I had one of the best experiences during my time on Astypalea. We were all getting hungry, and we were keen to spend the evening off the boat and experience a bit of local cuisine. Unfortunately, nothing was open, but we noticed there was a light on inside this little tavern. It was closed to the public, as they didn't expect any tourists, but when we popped our heads in to say hello, Maria and her elderly mother, who as it turns out also calls the tavern home, welcomed us in with open arms and were quick to fire up the stove. It was such a fantastic show of hospitality. All she asked is that we waited patiently while she whipped up a home-cooked meal. Kiriako popped into the kitchen to lend a hand as we went about setting the table and having a glass of wine. The quaint thing about this tavern is that there was no menu or price list. Maria simply makes what she can with what's available and charges little more than what the ingredients must cost. It reminded me of what Lula's Tavern in Spetses would have been like 30 years ago. You're made to feel special, like an old friend coming to pay a visit. It's a great example of a business that's more of a lifestyle choice than a money-making venture. Maria treats you like family, opening her doors, pantry and heart to those that come knocking. This is the real Greece.
I love a Greek tomato. Something about the Greek tomato is so nice.
Hearty, big flavours with a rustic charm, cooked fresh with love. It's the type of meal I've come to prefer over the fidgety, fine dining that's all the rage in the city. The simplicity of this dinner, with its massive serves and even bigger tastes, was made all the more enjoyable by sharing it with the crew of Mia Zoe, who are like our extended family.
For me, Astypalea is the quintessential Greek island because it's remote and in the middle of nowhere. It's hard to get to. The plane comes every day, but it only brings 40 people. Comes twice on Sundays, but yes, it's got that absolutely magnificent front quarter. And it's picturesque. It reminds me of Santorini maybe 40 or 50 years ago. But peel back that beautiful front page, and beneath it, inside the book, is what you see here. It's this remoteness, and it's almost like it's stuck in time. This is what it would look like 40 or 50 years ago or 100 years ago, and the people haven't changed. I look at Maria, where we had dinner last night. We came in with our boat. What did she do? She opened it up for us on a Tuesday night. It didn't matter. She's open all the time. This is what Astypalea is about. It is that place that hasn't changed. Yeah, it's got Wi-Fi, but everything else hasn't changed. I tell you what, it's a great place. You've got to come.
Take a look at this place. There's not a soul in sight, no hum of cars or sounds of power tools or music. The only noises are the lapping of the water, some insects, an occasional dog bark, and the crunching of my footsteps. Oh, and my ravings to camera. But that won't be happening when you're here. Just off the coast of Astypalea, in one of the more sheltered parts of the island, we came across a fish farm. In my travels around Greece, I'd seen plenty of them before. And there are more of them popping up all the time as the aquaculture industry here grows. Greece actually has one of the biggest in Europe. Despite having passed by them often enough, I've never had a chance to get a good look at one. But seeing a few smiling faces and waving hands as we went by, I took a punt and asked if I could check out what they were doing.
At one stage, I wasn't a big fan of fish farms, but you realise that population growth in the world is far outpacing our ability to deliver food, and we need to come up with new ideas to provide food for this world. And fish farms is one of them. They say that they're polluting, but when they move them around and the new feed that they're providing them, they're getting better and better, and hopefully one day they won't be considered the pollutants that they are. So I'm going to go and check it out because I need to understand it more for my own sake. I'm here with Manoli. Manoli, τι γίνεσαι εσύ? Πώς πάμε καλά?
Καλά.
Μπορώ να έρθω κάτω έτσι, να μην κλεισίσω, okay? I can't sleep.
Να σου δώσω πότες να βάλεις.
Δεν πειράζει, δεν πειράζει, δεν πειράζει. That's okay. There we go, there we go. Oh, wow. So we're bringing up some fish right now. And these are lavraki, which is sea bass. There's 4 tons in there. And there are 40 encasements like this all around here. They move them around so they don't pollute the area. We're just about to see him come out. Now, when he said 4 tons, I sort of didn't believe it. But as this net's coming up, it's just unbelievable. I've never seen so many fish in one spot.
In recent decades, the once thriving Mediterranean has become largely depleted of its natural marine resources. Overfishing from various countries that border the Med has seen her become plundered. It's also coincided with rapid population growth. And the only way to feed all those hungry mouths is through industries like this.
Wow.
To some, it's a confronting sight. But the reality is, it's a necessity.
Manoli, πόση ώρα σε κάνει να τα βγάλεις αυτά? Right. So it takes about half an hour to get these guys out. And they do this about 3 times a week.
The fish are placed in huge tubs of ice, which serve two purposes. One is to keep them fresh, but more importantly, it also puts them to sleep. It's one of the more humane methods of harvesting. It can still be a bit challenging to watch.
Now, I've got to tell you, I was concerned about coming here because, you know, I don't like seeing any animal die, and there's so many fish here that are passing away, but it seems like it's reasonably humane because they basically cool them down, and it's got to be done. People need to eat.
The scale of the operation and volume of fish they harvest is impressive. In a growing industry, it would seem these guys are at the forefront. It's a contrast to how, when the Industrial Revolution arrived, it forced people to leave the islands. The topography of the land meant large-scale agriculture and manufacturing weren't possible. But aquaculture, on the other hand, is something Greece can certainly lead the way in. It can fill the void left by the Industrial Revolution and bring back people to the islands. Manoli may not be a farmer like his father was, nor is he a fisherman in the traditional sense, but he's gainfully employed and able to support his family remaining on the island he loves. Leaving the fish farm, I reflected on the days we just spent in Astypalea. It was a clear weather window that brought us there at this time. We originally planned to come later in the year, but when an opportunity arose to make a dash across to this remote part of Greece, we jumped at it. You have to make the most of good cruising conditions, and the beauty of Myazoi is we're adaptable. But our time here was up, so we got back onto our original course, making our way northeast to the tiny island of Pserimos.
So a couple of miles to the south is Kos, and a couple of miles to the west is Kalymnos. We're in Pserimos, and Pserimos lives off its tourism, basically. The day tourists that come in here on those boats, on those gullets, just to swim at these beautiful beaches. I'm here to find out why they come here. Let's see. It's all it's trumped up to be.
That was my attempt at a dramatic entrance. I'm not quite as graceful as I once was. Regardless, the quicker I could get into that gorgeous water, the better.
Well, it's true. The water's beautiful, sandy beach is nice, and this is the main town, the main port, with such a beautiful beach. It's hard to believe. Anyway, I'm gonna go and check out that tavern.
Walking along the beach, you immediately get the impression that this place is set up for large numbers of tourists. But where are they? The shops are stocked full of goods, with beads and trinkets to sell. There are taverns all around the port, with empty tables and hot grills ready to go. Other than a few locals, I pretty much had the place to myself. But that would all change in an hour or so, because every day from late in the morning, this place transforms. It goes from a peaceful paradise to a hive of activity, as the tourist boats roll in, ferrying hundreds of passengers, coming for just a couple of hours. Wait until you see how much of a contrast it is. I can best describe it as being like a theme park. At least for now, though, I could sit back, relax, and enjoy the sounds of the lapping water. It looks like I'm not the only one on an odyssey. Having visited here 5 years ago, I knew exactly what to expect, but the film crew, on the other hand, had no idea. Here we were in a picture-perfect, peaceful island, and then in almost an instant, it was like a neighbour cranking up the volume on their stereo and spoiling your quiet morning. It gives the place a completely different vibe, one of a party island. Nikos watches it unfold every day.
Every time you see the boats come in, it's like 2 shifts. So the one will show up around 11-ish until 12, 12:30, and then you have a quiet break, which will be about 2.5 hours, and around 3 again, you have the people attacking you again. It's like an invasion.
Twice a day, hordes of tourists visit from Kalymnos and Kos, and it's like a military operation. The boats roll into the port and people storm the beaches, while the guides stand there with clocks, reminding the visitors what time they need to be on board again for departure. I'd worry if I wasn't back in time that I'd be left on this sleepy island. You know what though? That would actually be a good thing. I wonder how many people hide behind the dunes, just so they can stay a little longer.
Why do they come here? Why do they come to Psetimos? What is it about Psetimos?
These people.
Yeah.
First of all, we're talking about the guys who come on the boats. Eh?
On the boats, yeah.
Like it or not, they're going to come through.
Yeah.
That's the deal with
it's the beaches, it's warm water.
Yeah, you got this paradise here.
Yeah.
Look where you are.
Yeah.
Feel it.
That's awesome, man.
It's many people think it's not natural.
Do you ever put shoes on?
No, my friend, no.
For 7 months you got no shoes?
7 months, 6 months is no shoes, mate.
Wow.
This is Psetimos, guys, and if you want to come for a holiday, you come for that reason. Because, first of all, you don't need luggage. You come over with 2 changes of swimwear, you got 2 shirts for your evening, 2 pairs of trousers, and that's the end of Psetimos, mate. That's the holiday. Bring cash with you. What else do you want?
Yeah.
Your rooms are here on the beach. I think it's perfect for the limit.
So there's the day trippers, but there's people that stay here in the evening. How many do you think stay on the island? How many rooms are there?
First of all, we have a lot of people that are hardcore foreigners who love this island more than Greeks do.
Really?
Okay? You got people coming here since the 1980s every year, and they will spend 2 and 3 weeks and a month here. There must be something there.
Yeah.
Don't ask us. I'm here for my business, all right? Like it or not, I've got to be here, do my business. I love the place. You ask a foreigner who comes here and spends his holiday every year. That's who we should ask, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Hello! Taking Nick's advice, I was introduced to Glyn, a Welshman, who has been holidaying here since the 1980s. He spends his entire vacation just sitting on the beach. It's awesome.
What I want to know is, what keeps bringing you back here since 1985?
Yeah, well, I mean, initially it was the look of the place. And then when you get here, you start to meet the people. They're all very friendly, very nice people. Some are contentious, some are not, but they're Greek. And this is what I loved about it, the Greek. I still don't speak much Greek, but...
But you're communicating, I mean...
Always we have some fun, and we do it with fun and laughter, and we get close this way. Like. I think people who come here are not just normally your normal tourists. There's something a little bit... You look at things a little bit differently. Like I first seen it, I thought, wow, this is beautiful. There are others who come here through the year, and from all over the world. We sit here, it's like United Nations some nights. You know, we've got Germans, Dutch, we've got Czechoslovakians, we've got Spanish, we've got every nation, and we all sit together.
They come in like locusts for an hour or two, twice a day, thousands of them, and then they go. How do you handle that, mate?
Well, you just shut your eyes because you know it's going to go.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, you stay in this hotel just one night, right? You'll get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, you've got this beautiful empty bed. And we know at 11:15, these have got to make a living, so we just let them get up. 12 o'clock, they're gone.
Yeah.
Then we've got this period when you arrived today, you've seen it quiet, and you think, oh, you know, this is nice.
Yes, yes.
And then, of course, in the afternoon, it just gets crazy again.
It seems kind of ironic that most of the people that come on the day trips do so to sit on a peaceful beach and see a slice of the authentic Greece that you only get on the small islands. But the whole machine-like process happens so quickly that I can't imagine it being all that relaxing. However, I do understand why they do it. Not everyone has the time or money to spend months on end travelling amongst the 227 inhabited Greek islands. So if you want to see some of the smaller places, these types of day trips are a great option. After a night here, I actually joined the flotilla headed for Kalymnos. I'd have loved to stay a little longer, but there was a very special package waiting for me at the post office.
We just got delivery of our new flight board in Kalymnos. Came all the way from Australia. It's the first one in Europe. And there's so much packaging, man. It's unbelievable. Look at that baby. I'm excited. There's a foil that connects to that bottom little rectangular section. The foil basically is a big aerofoil fin, and it sits up out of the water like a hydrofoil. Wow!
The flight board is designed and made in the coastal Australian town of Byron Bay. It looked like so much fun, but it sure wasn't as easy as they made it appear on their promo videos. The ship's engineer, Mikey, was that test rabbit. When I asked for a volunteer to figure out how this thing worked, he was quick to put his hand up. It took a bit of getting used to, but once he got the hang of it, how cool was this thing? It was like floating through the air, quickly followed by crashing headfirst into the water. I could have said I was a natural and took to it immediately, but I actually spent an undisclosable number of hours mastering it before I let the cameras roll. It's some of the best fun I've had in years. As much as I love all the cultural activities we get up to, I occasionally like to cut loose and have a bit of good old-fashioned fun. This is just the beginning of the third series of My Greek Odyssey. In the weeks ahead, I'll be travelling through the Dodecanese, digging deep into the culture and heritage of a part of Greece that's about as far from Athens as it gets. Many of the places I'll be visiting are well and truly off the tourist track, yet have a charm that makes them fantastic destinations that no doubt will eventually be on every traveller's radar. There's also going to be a few of those well-known islands, where not only will I be showing you what makes them so popular, but I'll also do my best to unearth a few things you probably never knew about them. Next episode, I'll be hopping off the flight board and onto the island of Galinos. It's the fourth biggest landmass in the Dodecanese and somewhat of a hub for the smaller surrounding islands. Amongst other things, it's famous for adventure sports like rock climbing. The mountainous interior is a playground for thrill seekers and hikers too. The island also has a rich history that's closely linked to sponge diving, and I'll experience how the divers of old went about harvesting their bounty. Apart from being highly educational, it's also going to be loads of fun.